with that introduction, we're not sitting around today, we're participating. So everyone get their phone out. And I either want you to go to this QR code or go to that web address. And then let me know when everyone's there. And we're gonna do some live polling today. I am not collecting this data. I'm not like putting secret cookies on your phones or anything like that. This is just, so I know what you guys want to hear, okay? Because does me no good to sit up here and talk. Okay, so I got 4 people on so far. Anyone else hopping on? Anyone else in? Oh, 5. What number am I looking for? 12. I'm looking for 12. I'm looking for 12. We're at 6. We can do it, guys. I know we can. I know we can get there. Anyone need help? I got my man Russ right here, my BFF. I know you need help.
Yeah, I don't know if it's working. Like there's just like this.
That's it. You got it. You're in, man. You are in.
Okay.
Okay. I got a 7. Once we get to 10, we're gonna move on.
It just says instructions.
Great. Perfect. You're in. Okay. This is my first time doing this one live, like through 14 different things. So, okay. Is this gonna work for me? Is a new screen coming up?
Yeah.
Okay, which category would you fall into? Tell me, I wanna know. Sophomore, juniors, are you business owners? Are you president of my fan club? I wanna know what you are. Multiple choice. Woo, okay, what do we got? What do we got? Freshmen and sophomores, 67%. Okay, is that what we're doing? Okay, so we're young, excellent, okay. Next one. Now this is the most important question that we will discuss today. And I am going to judge you based on your answer. Okay, so, oh wow, heck yes. Okay, all right, got a good one, okay. Oh, wow, okay, absolutely not, coming up. Heck yes is 8, great, excellent. Okay, here's my next little thing. How strongly would you agree or disagree with the following? So how satisfied are you with your life's journey? And to the left is disagree, to the right is agree. Ooh, wow, we got a 5, very satisfied, excellent, a 1. Quite a few regrets, okay. Okay, so as you can see, I don't know why this isn't bigger, but we have a lot of top-heavy answers here, so that's what's swaying this at 4.2. We have a lot of bottom-heavy answers right here. I haven't quite found my life's path, or I regret. Oh, and we're right in the middle here about worrying about what your future will hold. Okay, good. We're cooking with peanut oil now. Okay. So these are the 4 things I will talk to you about today, and I want you to rank them. What do you want to hear? You tell me what you want to hear, and whatever wins number 1, we'll spend the most time on. Second one, whatever. Okay, so the choices are my entrepreneur journey, long-term goals, short-term, meaning 90-day goals, or free-for-all session, asking me whatever you want to ask. Oh, wow, okay. I can't see. Okay, so short-term, okay, great. How many do we have? 5 of 10. We'll wait here a second. Okay, short-term goals seems to be coming up. That's good. How to organize and document long-term goals. Okay, wonderful. Okay, all right, so we're going to talk about short-term goals, then we're going to talk about long-term goals, and then we're going to talk about my entrepreneurial journey. Okay, so that is the order of things going. Okay, so here's my next question. How many hours a week are you spending in thought, planning, meditation? Or are you just flying by the seat of your pants? 1.7, 2.2. Okay. Got a couple zeros in there. Oh, wow. Okay, now we're going up. Now we're going up. Okay, 2.7. Okay, excellent. I love to hear that, because how do you know where you're going unless you know what the plan is? Okay, so that's good. You guys are excellent. Okay, next one. Let's go back. Okay, so this is pretty smart guy. My friend here in the front row is going to read this for us. What does that say? Can you read it again?
Oh yeah, sorry. If I had only 1 hour to save the world, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and 5 minutes finding the solution.
Okay, any guesses why I would include that in a talk about goals?
You have to prioritize.
Prioritize, excellent. What else? Yes,
Like you have to think before you act.
you got
You
it.
have like to use your mind, you know.
Yes, we don't want a reactionary action. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's pull out our presentation on short-term goals. Goodness, freeze that, but for some reason this, okay, here we go. Maybe. Okay, so setting rocks for yourself. Okay, has anyone seen this? Come on in.
No, I need to have.
Oh, okay. Has anyone seen this analogy before? Sand, pebbles, rocks. Who can tell me about this? Yes, you're shaking your head. Tell me, what is this?
So the big rocks are the most important things in your life, as it says there. Pebbles and sand, so forth. And if we first spend our time with the small stuff that isn't important, like social media, watching movies and stuff, in a jar, and then you put on the medium and big rocks, not all of it's going to fit. But if you put the most important things first, then the smaller stuff and sand will filter in between the big rocks.
Star student, I want you to talk to me afterwards and come work for me. Fabulous. That's my guy right there. Okay, so our big rocks are big things. Okay, so these are the most important things in your life. Okay, these are the things that need to go into the jar first. Okay. Then the medium size are things that you need to do, like grocery store, what else? Getting the oil changed in your car, things like that. Okay, so it's long-term, you need to eat, you need to sustain your life, you need to be able to drive. And those are things that need to be done, the medium-sized rock. Now the teeny tiny rocks are the stupid minutia that come up that you're like, oh my gosh, but it's just blaring in the face. And so you spend your time doing that. Like the other day I went down this, which is, by the way, I was learning, but I went down this total rabbit hole of Passover. I grew up in a Jewish community in New Jersey, and I went down this rabbit hole because I grew up in a Reform Jewish community, and I saw that Hasidic Jews did Passover differently. So I literally spent like 2 hours on Instagram, like looking at all these different ways of how they're observing Passover. Oh my gosh, because like I wasn't planning on spending 2 hours to do that, but it happened like that, like so quick. So our rocks are the big things that we want to do in our life. Okay, so we're gonna have, I believe this is 4 steps. Okay, so step 1 is pick a date when these rocks will be done. Okay, so 90 days from now. Why do you think we use 90 days for short-term goals? Yes.
Because it will be like very difficult if you set like for more time, like to accomplish, like you have to have like a short-term thing, you know?
Correct. So you want a long enough time that you are going to see progress, but a short enough time that you can get these things accomplished. Like, for example, if I said, I want to fly to the moon, and I made that my 90-day goal, what are the chances of me actually accomplishing that? Keep in mind, you guys have never met me before today, because I could be like an astrophysicist and hopping on a plane or a rocket. I didn't even know it's called. Okay, so probably 0. But if I came in and said, okay, I am going to lose 10 pounds in the next 90 days, is that more realistic?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so, the other trick, like in life, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, and you guys are not the generation for like infomercials and stuff, but this 90-day no interest, in another life, I worked for car dealerships, and that was their gig, is people never thought that 90 days would actually come. They're like, okay, sure, I'll drive this car, and 3 months sounds like such a long time away, and then all of a sudden, the payment would come due, and they're like, oh, you mean I have to pay for this car? So that's a little trick in selling right there. Okay, so every 90 days, we're rolling through these rocks, okay? So this is a picture of, yes, that is a racetrack on top of the cruise ship that I am taking to Alaska. Don't be jealous, because it's gonna be like me and all these 90-year-olds in July, okay? So we booked the cruise, I don't know, a year and a half ago. My entire family's going. We have 19 people going. It's for my mom's 70th birthday, okay? So we pay our money, and 90 days before the sailing is when we can start looking at like the excursions, start booking our dinner times. Why do you think that Norwegian, a giant, huge cruise company, would not let you pick any of those things the year and a half ago before when I booked the cruise?
With your money.
Yes.
Sorry.
Here, where are we?
Because you might change your mind.
Change your mind, yes.
Right.
There's a lot of old people who go on these,
Might be dead.
right?
They might be dead. Now, I might be pregnant. I might have another kid. I might, be going on a zip line and you're pregnant. Okay, now here's another little nugget for you, is that we paid, I don't know, let's just say it's $1,000 a person, $19,000 a year and a half ago, okay? What am I now gonna spend 90 days prior to this sailing? Double that, triple that.
Like sometimes, like they want to also like play like with, the money, like sometimes they want us like to just have it for that moment.
You got it, you
Right.
got it. Yes, exactly. So they hook you with the first, it's only $1,000, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh, you wanted a door on your cabin? Oh, that's gonna be $5, sorry. So that's how people's minds naturally, 90 days seems like a long time, but it is a short time. The other thing that I love about the 90-day goals is that it's forgiving, okay? So say, for example, one of my goals is working out for 5 hours a week. And I try that for 90 days and I just cannot make it happen. I didn't make it happen 1 week out of those 90 days. I can adjust and say, okay, that for the next 90 days, I'm gonna try 4 hours. You can also do the opposite, okay? So it's forgiving. Okay. All right, so step 2 is to list all of the important things for this 90-day world, okay? So this is not the fly to the moon, okay? This is not the long term. This is what needs to be done in these 90 days. Like, for example, your 90 days would include finishing the semester, okay? So that's something that registering for the next semester, maybe getting a summer internship or things like that, okay? So you want to list everything that's important for this 90-day world. Okay, now, a lot of things are gonna come up in this 90 days that are gonna derail you from these goals. Here's one example. I am not much of a homemaker. I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do any of this stuff. However, I am Mormon, so I get asked to do all these things all the time. And this lady wanted to give me a recipe for, hi, welcome, come on in. Cafe Rio pulled pork that she wanted me to make in a crock pot and then bring to the church on a certain day and time. First of all, there's no way in hell I'm gonna do that. And second of all, like, I can just get on my app for Cafe Rio, buy the pork and have it delivered, okay? So I said, yes, I will help. However, I am not going to make this pork. It's like 12-hour, like whatever in a crock pot, not gonna happen. Totally not gonna happen. So in order to focus on those 90 days, you need to learn to say no. The most successful people in life will say no to 90% of the things that you ask them to do, okay? Because it's not important to them. I get asked all the time to sit on boards. The other day, I was asked to sit on a board of, do you guys know the company that did baby signing time? Is that, you guys are all way too young, but back in my day, they did baby signing time. Anyway, I was asked to sit on the board and I said no, because A, I have no connection to that board. B, it's not my 90-day plan or my 1-year plan or my 10-year plan. And so I just flat out said no. And the person who knew me well was totally shocked that I would say no. And I'm like, how do you think I'm so successful? I say no to everything, okay? So learn how to say no. Okay, now, an amazing picture that I found. Does anyone know who that is? Okay, this is terrifying that none of you know.
Sorry, Warren.
Warren Buffett. Yes, very good, very, very good. Okay, so here's a crazy story about Warren Buffett, and it could be about me. Okay, so Warren Buffett has a private plane. He lives in Omaha. Okay, so obviously he has to hop on a private plane quite a bit because no companies are in Omaha except for Berkshire Hathaway. So he has a pilot that was blah, 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 super pedigree pilot, I don't even know. Anyway, he was talking to Warren Buffett and he's like, hey, I've been your pilot for like 5 or 6 years and I just really want to know, like, can you help me? I'm trying to figure out how I want to end my career, how I want to live my life, how I want to do this. And so Warren said, okay, when he was going to a board meeting. So he said, okay, you're going to drop me off in LA. And in that 3 days, because the pilot stays there with the plane, I want you to write down your top 25 goals for your whole life, 25 goals, top 25 goals. So the guy spent all this time doing the top 25 goals. And when Warren came back on the plane, he said, great. Okay, now I want you to pick the 5 most important, okay? So he went and 3 days later came back and he said, okay, Warren, oh man, I have really been, stressing about this. Is it family? Is it friends? Should I, retire? Should I buy my own plane? Whatever, should I start a business? These are my top 5, okay? So Warren said, okay, the other 20, never think about again, ever. Because they will completely ruin your top 5. Why would the other 20 on the list ruin your top 5? I'm looking over here for an answer. These 4 haven't participated. Yes.
Maybe because it's easier to organize in your brain, like a few things at a time rather than like trying
Yes.
to do multiple different things.
If I threw 1 ball at you, could you catch it?
Probably not, but I tried.
Okay. Hypothetically, yes. Okay. If I threw 2 balls at you, could you catch it?
Definitely not.
Okay. If I threw 3 balls at you,
Yeah.
if I threw 25 at you, how many could you catch? One maybe, yeah. Okay, so that's when we have too many things, again, saying no to your top 20 of your 25, okay? So, step 4, you wanna write the rocks, and by the way, pick 3 to 7 rocks. That's the key number. If you have more than 7, you have way too many for a 90-day, for anything, for life. You have way too many, okay? So you want them to be written out in the SMART format, which is specific, measurable, achievable. So remember my like going to the moon, relevant, why would I go to the moon? And timely. So can you accomplish it in those 90 days? Now, as I mentioned, I am Mormon, and this is a framework that the church provides. And this is what I do with my own family. Okay, so every 90 days we have a family council, and I have 2 daughters and a husband, and my 2 daughters are 12 and 5, and we make spiritual, social, physical, and intellectual goals every 90 days, okay? So I want to write 2 books this year. I've never written a book, and I decided that the best way to write a book is probably to write. So I want to write 1 spiritual post a week where that was why I was deep diving into Passover, which had nothing to do with what I ended up spiritual posting about. But I want to write 1 spiritual post a week, which forces me to research and make my thoughts very concise. And I want to do 2 business posts a week. I have all this information and eventually needs to come out somewhere, okay? So I want to do 2 business posts a week. Now, when I go to write my book, I just simply put it all together in a folder and email it to an editor and say, how much are you going to pay me for this, okay? So once I've already written it, it's easier to do a long-term goal, okay? My daughter, who is 5, is quite a spitfire. And so she's a little bossy. I don't know where she gets it from. It's really hard to tell. And so at school, the teachers are constantly have to say, let me be the teacher. Let me be the teacher. So we're working on her speaking kindly to others. We're also working on, she wants to get into this flip class at her gymnastics. So she is working on a back bend and a cartwheel and a handstand. Now for my 5-year-old, these are really easy. Like before we started this, she just thought she woke up in the morning and just wherever life took her that day. But once we started doing these 90-day goals, she understands, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. These are my steps to take in order to get into this gymnastics class. Because I want to be a cheerleader, because I want to be on this cheer team, I need to do the following 19 things. She doesn't just, so she wants to be University of Utah cheerleader. She's 5. Great, wonderful, long-term goal, awesome, fabulous. However, you need to know how to do a cartwheel to be a University of Utah cheerleader. So she now sees the steps that you need to take in order to get there. Okay. Now this all sounds really easy, right? Because we're just sitting here in this room and this really sounds fun, right? These guys rowing. Look at these oars hitting the exact same time. And here's our leader. And these guys are up and straight and nice. And our expectation is this. However, our reality is more like this. Okay? All of a sudden, your car is going to break down. Your boyfriend's going to break up with you. You are going to fail a test. This is real life. But if we take it in these 90-day sections, we can make it happen. Okay. Now, buy these books, get these books, live by these books. These are your Bibles. This is how you do it. You guys want a manual on how to be successful? You read these 3 books. Okay? I will send anyone this PowerPoint that wants it, or take a picture, do whatever you want. 2 of these books are The EOS system was the, which is the Entrepreneurs Operating System. And Bill Campbell is a coach that was in, I always say Silicon Slopes, but it's Silicon Valley. Okay. And if you have more questions. Okay, now we're going to talk about long-term goals. Well, first, hold on, wait a minute. How do I, here we go. Just imagine this being so seamless and pretty. Edit shortcuts. What is this? I'll send this to you guys if you need. Like, this is not like rocket science I'm handing out here. So how do we get out of this? Exit, delete. What do you think? Escape? Oh, escape! That's it. I made a prize. Okay. Now on to our next one. I want to know what food you absolutely hate. So go ahead and type that in. You absolutely hate this food. Mine would be cottage cheese. Like I'd rather die than eat cottage cheese. Papaya, oh my goodness gracious, wow, okay. Ooh, seafood, sour cream, ooh, that's a person on my own heart.
Princess, hold on,
The Menti code is up there. You can just go to that website and that code. And we're just doing some live, I'm not like doing anything with this information. Avocados, ooh, them's fighting words. Broccoli, bad cooked food, yeah, that's true. Junk food, oh my gosh. Who are you people? Bad fruits, awesome. Seafood's winning, so the more votes, like the more people that type in things. Olive, seafood seem to be our least favorite. Snails, we got it all, man. Okay, all right, see, that's information I gotta file away here. Okay, let's see. Go back. Go back. Go to the next one. Come on. Okay, here we go. What old person things do you do? True story. Okay, I told you guys I have a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old. I literally put my kids to bed at 7 o'clock and I am dead asleep by 9. Like I am the oldest old person on this planet. Sleep. Go to bed. Oh my gosh, you read that. That's my soulmate. Go to bed. Yes. Crochet, sleep, nap. Ooh, that's good. Use big words. Sleep after eating, drive slow, don't party hard. That's awesome. Okay, great. Read books. Oh, that's not an old person thing. That's not old. Read this to my cat.
It is when you have Audible.
I guess that's true.
Okay, it went from reading books to the Kindles and Nooks, and then it's Audible.
That's true. That is a good point.
It all changed within like 15 years.
That is absolutely true. Candles. Okay, awesome. Okay, now we're gonna talk about long-term goals. Well, just imagine, if you will. Okay, how to organize and document your long-term goals. Okay, you guys are right here in the crux. Remember at the beginning, you told me you were freshmen and sophomores. You are right in the middle here, okay? So this is a timeline. Let's say you're gonna die at 70. This giant chunk right there is your life. Okay, what are you gonna do when you're 70? Nothing. You're just gonna be sitting around picking your nose. What are you gonna do before you're 18? Nothing. You don't know what's going on. Okay, so this giant chunk of your life, you have to design life doesn't just happen to you. You have to design it. We have to have these long-term goals. Okay. So how do we do this? How do we define and document our long-term goals? Okay. So core values. What do we value? Okay. So this is the Air Force. And who wants to read these 3 core values for me? There we go, right there.
Integrity first, excellence in all we do, service before self.
Perfect. Okay, so that is what the Air Force has deemed their core values. Okay, so how do we decide who we want to spend time with? If you value family, would it be a good idea or a bad idea to spend time with family?
Bad idea.
Bad idea?
Yeah.
If you value family.
I mean, you value family to go to the US Air Force could be a bad idea, I think, first.
Okay, sorry. Back up. I apologize. I was using the Air Force as an example. Now let's move on to the next question. Okay, so if I value family, if family relationships are the #1 thing to me, would it be important for me to spend time with my family or don't spend time with my family? Spending time, okay. Now conversely, my mother is one of 8 children and it is like, oh, it is so bad. It's like the Lord of the Flies in their family. Like they are all so catty and terrible and it's horrific. And she values her family, meaning us, but does not put value on spending time with her brothers and sisters and that type of thing. And that's okay. Okay, so that, do you see how first family can be, or any other thing can be a core value. Okay, what do we want to invest our money in? You know, you vote with your dollars. Okay, so we're voting with our dollars. How do we want to invest it? Do we want to eat fast food every day or do we want to shop at Whole Foods? Both are investments. Okay. What do we want our kids to learn? That's a big one for me and my husband. I grew up with very good education and private school is of paramount importance to me. So I not only pay for my kids to go to private school, I pay for all my nieces and nephews to go to private school because I feel so strongly in education. That's the right decision for me and my core values. It might not be the same for other people, okay? And what are your passions? Okay, so first we have to identify our core values. Now our core focus, okay? So as our wonderful Eric, our leader here, read on my bio in LinkedIn, shocker, I'm also a Pilates instructor. Okay, so I've been a Pilates instructor for 17 years. And the whole thing with Pilates is your core, okay? So it's breathing and your core. So shh, everyone go like that with me. Breathe out, a forced exhale. Shh, like you're blowing through a McDonald's straw. Shh. You feel that tightening around your waist? That's your transverse abdominis. That is the deepest layer of your abdominal muscles. You cannot do crunches to work that out. You cannot do side bends to work that out. The only way you can tighten that core is through forced exhale. Okay, so when we have a core focus, I want you to think about working out. If we stabilize our core first, so say for example, I'm doing a bicep and I'm just doing my bicep right here. My body's moving all around. Is that going to work? No, first we need to stabilize. Shh. That's why you see weightlifters when they pick up weights, they're exhaling on the exertion, okay? They're stabilizing their core first, then they are doing the auxiliary movements, okay? So our core focus. This is our mission. This is what we are laser focused on, okay? So this is our why and our what. Okay, 10-year target. Now I use 10 years, but 5 to 30. So I'm thinking long-term. So this is my dear friend Christelle, and she is Executive Director of Future Scholars of Africa, and I am the Chairman of the Board of Future Scholars of Africa. And Christelle was 8 years old, and when she was living in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Africa, and rebels came into her home, kidnapped her father, raped her mother. On the night she had her 7th child, she was 22 years old. Her mother was 22 years old. And the mother and the 7 children fled to, oh my gosh, it's escaping me right now. Anyway, another country. I can't even remember. Anyway, they crossed the border. Okay, so she's living in a refugee camp. And her father was a high school teacher, and he was educated. That's why he was targeted by rebels. And while she was in that camp, she's 8 years old, she is looking at her life and literally did not have food for the next meal. And she said, Mom, I want to go to college. And of course, her mom, who's 22, says, okay, just like, oh, I want to fly to the moon. Her mother's completely uneducated, married when she was 15, has 7 kids and living in a refugee camp. So what are the chances of that actually coming to fruition? So I said, Mom, I'm going to do it. This is Christelle after she graduated with her master's degree last year from the University of Utah. She got her master's in public administration. So these are huge, lofty goals, okay? This is the mountain we are going to climb. This is our giant, big, ambitious goal, okay? Now, you guys are all too young. Perhaps any of the more seasoned people in this room might know what this is a picture of. Does anyone know? Baseball in a cornfield, baseball field in a cornfield. Field of Dreams. Now, what's the line from Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. So it's a Kevin Costner movie, and it's not like super interesting, but you know, it's a reference, a cultural reference. And so basically the story is this farmer plowed over one of his cornfields and made a baseball field. And everyone thought he was crazy and everyone thought it was nuts. He's like, I just feel like I should do it. He saw the vision, okay? So the picture must come first. You must have a crystal clear picture of what you want. Because otherwise, how the heck do you know if you achieve it? How do you know where you're going? Okay, imagine getting in your car and going to your friend's house and not having I'm dating myself, MapQuest, not having Google Maps, not having your GPS, and just blindly driving around. Are you gonna get to the friend's house? Probably not. You're probably gonna get the cops called on you because you keep circling around the neighborhoods and stuff, okay? So you have to have a clear vision of where you want to go. And if you can see it, you can create it. But specifics on this 3-year picture. Okay, now this is the 1-year plan. How many 90-day increments do we have in 1 year? That's tricky. 4. Okay, so when we talk about our dominoes, when we talk about our rocks, okay, if we accomplish our first 90-day, so if I do 2 business posts a week for 90 days, let's see, 4 for 8, let's just say 24 posts. I am 1/4 of the way to my book in 1 year. Okay, so that's one of my 1-year goals, okay? This is what must get done. Remember, this is our 3 to 7 rocks, okay? This is our 1-year plan, what the rocks are going to do. Does that make sense? Everyone on the same page as me? So we're gonna go 10, 3, 1. Everyone clear? Okay, got it. Okay, our 1-year plan. Oh, same thing. Okay, so this is just a better illustration. If we put our rocks in first, and then we put our gravel, and then we put our sand, it all fit. But if we put all the crap in first, all our sand, then our gravel, then our rocks, what sticks out? The most important don't get done. Absolutely, because it's all this minutia. It's freaking cooking Cafe Rio pork in the crock pot with this recipe that this woman gave me. I gotta go down the store, buy the pork and the whatever you do. Not happening, not happening. Okay. Our last thing is our issues list, okay? What are our lists of concerns? What things are we worried about? So one concern for me on my 90 days rock, or let's see. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. So I have a 5-year-old. The 5-year-old goes to preschool for 2 hours and 30 minutes a day. I literally have enough time to drive her to the school, go work out for 1 hour and come back and pick her up. And my goal is to work out 5 hours a week. That is assuming that my life falls perfectly into place all 5 of those days, okay? So that is a concern to me. If I have a sick child, if it's a snow day, if I have another speaking engagement at 9 a.m., that's a list of concerns for me. How am I going to accomplish these things? Okay, so those are just something to be aware of. Things you're worried about and obstacles. Okay, so this is your issues list. The reason you have an issues list is not to be pessimistic, it's to be realistic. Where you say, okay, maybe working out 4 hours a week would be easier for me to accomplish than working out 5. Okay, does that make sense? Everyone understand the issues list? All right. Oh, same books. These are my works consulted. Okay. Now, on to the very important next thing. Oh, here we go. This is what I want to know. How long would you last in a zombie apocalypse? I would be dead before it started. This is me. 1 week max. The Will Smith movie I Am Legend was written about me. Wow. 4 of you are, I'm coming to your house. Oh my goodness, I must be the only wimp in this room because 6 of you quit. That's awesome. That's great. Wonderful. Okay. Now we have 7 minutes until we are done. So let's do some questions. If you have questions, if not, I will tell you about my entrepreneur journey. But otherwise, we can save it for a different day. Any questions for me? Yes.
Okay, so like, what are like your plans like for the 90 days, like for the next 90 days? Like, what are yours?
Oh, right here. So work out 5 times a week. 1 date with my hot hubby. That is so much harder than you would think. These are mine, right there. 2 business posts a week, 5 one-hour workouts, and 1 spiritual post a week. So, like I said, I want to write a book. I want to write 2 books this year. And so that's my intellectual, my spiritual, my social, because I have no social life because I'm a mom of kids. Go out with my husband at least once a week. And then my physical is 5 1-hour. Now, this framework is from our church. You can use whatever framework you want. This is just what my family uses. Any other questions? Yes.
Is this the only tool that you like use to kind of keep them all organized in your head and like kind of keep yourself accountable? Because it's kind of hard when you have multiple goals
Correct.
to like remember them constantly.
I have a very fancy spreadsheet.
Oh, nice.
So we have this on our fridge. And let me find it. Oh, wait. Ah! Okay, well, let's just do. So I keep this on my fridge because it's just easier for my family. So once every quarter, so once every 90 days, we'll have definitely less than a 30-minute meeting with my family and a family council setting our rocks, because I do have a 5-year-old and a 12-year-old. And then every week we check in. So this is what I keep on my fridge. And it's a very fancy spreadsheet, as you can see. So one spiritual post a week. So if I hit my goal, this would say 1 of 1. 5 1-hour workouts. If I did 3 that week, it would say 3 of 5. And we keep track every week, every Sunday. We sit down and that's like a 5 to 8 minute conversation. And sometimes the rocks are done early. Like for example, Red, we call her Red, her name's Scarlett. Her physical goal was the handstand, the back bend and whatever else she was doing, cartwheel. I don't know anything about gymnastics, so I had no clue. But apparently once you get one, it kind of goes like dominoes. I thought it was going to take like months for her to figure this out, but she did. So she accomplished her goal in like the first 2 weeks of the 90 days. And so now we can sign her up for the next class. So you might accomplish it in the 90 days, you might do it before. Again, that time frame is forgiving. Like if I were to write down, Scarlett is going to learn how to do a handstand, a cartwheel, and a back bend in 2 weeks. She might as well fly to the moon. But, you know, giving that 90-day buffer is very forgiving. Any other questions? Yes.
So recently I learned about a certain type of viewing goals. Phil Mickelson, one of the greatest golfers, one time hit like.
My friend married him, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. From what I understand, he hit like a 3, hits to make I don't know, golf a ton. But he should have done it in like 2 or 1, right? This certain hole. And they were interviewing him after, and he's always done it really amazing. And they're like, what happened? He's like, oh no, I hit it in 2. And they're like, you clearly didn't. Like, why not? He's like, no, I hit it in 2. And they were like, okay, that's a little weird. They kind of finished. And later on, you know, he's kind of like, look, a lot of these people who always achieve their goals, right? Some of the greatest to ever do it. Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, they just have in their mind like this mentality of I'm the best. They view their goals of like, I've already hit them.
Oh, absolutely.
And like so to us, like, okay, you want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start $1 million company by like this time. It's like, okay. Some people think, oh, I've already done it. And I think part of it is kind of doing it of like, okay, what does someone who hits that goal, like what does it look like they're doing, right? Are they reading books every day? Are they getting up early? Start doing that then. If you already hit that,
absolutely
become that person and
literally
you'll naturally hit it. So what are your thoughts with, because I'm going to go to sales. So I've already thought like, I've already sold this much this summer, like it's happened. I already sold this much and I made this money, like it's happened. And I've really tried to like drill that into my head. So how would you suggest is
working backwards from that? So you begin with your end in mind. So if you want to hit $50,000 in sales in commission, so I don't know how much, $5 million in sales, let's say, and you have 90 days to do it. So you have June 1st to August 31st, okay? How much do you have to make per month? How much do you have to make per week? How much? So then what's your close ratio on that? If you knock 15 doors, your close ratio, okay, let me use it. Math is not my strong suit here. If you knock 10 doors and your close ratio is 10%, how many doors do I need to knock in order to get that close ratio? And I would even break that down per hour. I'm talking granular. Get your butt out of bed in the morning to do X, Y, and Z. The other thing is it completely takes the guesswork out of your life. Like I told you, my 5-year-old would just wake up and thought her life, she just get in the car and just, do whatever. You know how many people live like that? Like 99% of the population. Oh, I guess I'm doing this today. Guess I'm doing that. No. That's not how this goes. You have to plan your work and work your plan. So if you're already driving that BMW made with your $50,000 from this summer, which I don't recommend, but whatever, You have to work backwards from the goal.
What about if you want to buy like a Lamborghini or like a Bugatti?
You need to be able to pay for that thing in cash 3 times before you buy it. Okay, so let's say, I don't know how much these things cost, but let's say it costs $100,000. You need to have $300,000 in discretionary income in order to purchase that. In order to have $300,000 in discretionary income, your yearly income needs to be around 3 million. Okay, so you work backwards from there to get 3 million per year. So 1 million per year is 278, or excuse me, $100,000 a year is $278 per day. So extrapolate on that. Someone get out their calculator. 278 do 278 times 3 million divided by 100,000, and give me that number.
8,340.
So you need to make $8,340 a day to afford that Lamborghini.
Because you also have like to like make like things like repair it, right? Like you have to make maintenance and things like that, right? Which are-
Any luxury item, my personal feeling is, number one, if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it. Number two, it's a complete waste of money. But that's just, neither here nor there. And number three, yes, every mile that you drive, like for example, my father-in-law had this really nice Porsche, and he's in finance. And every mile that he drove cost him like $400 in depreciation. He had that car for about 3 weeks before he said, I'm gonna go back to my F-150 because I literally cannot afford to drive this. Like, it's better in my garage than it is somewhere else. But so taking you one step further, are you thinking like a Lamborghini is you've made it?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it would be cool just to go like 200 miles per hour. Like,
How about my Tesla? I'll take you 200 miles per hour right now.
but,
I'll
like,
save you money, man.
I don't know. Like, I love like Italian.
You like
things.
that idea?
Like
Go rent one for the
Italian things,
day.
I love those things.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, about the Tesla, though, it might actually be just as fast as the Lamborghini because the charging time, though, the amount of time it takes to charge, the amount that the electricity costs, even if
Probably true.
honestly, I think if you want something prestigious and fast, but you want something reliable and cheaper, get a Japanese car.
There you go. You got all the answers.
They're-
I
Awesome.
like
They're
the
quick.
Perfect. Yes.
So with the idea of beginning to the end in mind, how do you focus on the process and day to day and not get too like absorb these outcomes, but still begin with the end in mind?
That's where our 10-year, 3-year, 1 year, and 90 days. Okay, so this was my end. I'll have to come back and talk to you guys how I made my money, but I didn't want to rely on a husband. I didn't want to rely on anyone, and I decided I was going to start a business. And I knew I wanted to live on the Willow Creek Country Club and my kids go to private school. So in order to accomplish that, I had to make a certain amount of money. So you just work backwards from that. Yes.
Similar thing, I actually started self-employment last year. And I found I only did 10 days of Uber Eats, but I found out something like later on, like probably around day 6 or 7, that if I wanted to make money and fuel up a surprisingly what should be cheap, well, to Subaru, it's not exactly cheap, but to fuel up, but to keep a car fueled up and still have money, put a strategy in place. Don't accept anything below $7.
There you go. Value your time. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I'll put my contact information. If anyone wants, I can email any of this stuff to you guys. Thanks for coming.